The Zags last year, a few points away from the Final Four when they lost to Connecticut. But this year's team, very different. They like a new head coach in Mark Few, 2 new starters. They were 3rd place in the West Coast Conference. They did win the conference tournament, but they wore that big target all year, and they got whacked a couple of times when they stepped out of conference and played the big boys. But they have come on and made another postseason run here. Against St. John's here, Bootsy Thornton makes the steal to Chudney Gray, and the Red Storm had the early lead, but Gonzaga, there's no panic in this team. Bunch of veterans. They've been in a bunch of NCAA games before. And Santangelo to Mark Spink, one of the bench players who came and contributed big with the dunk right there. Gonzaga down 3 at the break. They were down 4 early second half. Casey Calvary in foul trouble much of the night, Digger.
Casey Calvary comes in with 3 fouls, but didn't stop. Got his 4th early and still played aggressive in the second half.
Richie Fromm, you know, the 3-ball specialist, puts the Bulldogs up 3. The next possession, Eric Barkley, some big perimeter shots tonight would answer, ties the game. 7 minutes to go. Fromm, Santangelo from the wing.
26 big ones from Santangelo. The other night it was 31 from Fromm.
Here's Postel keeping a minute with a baseline dunk back within 3. Final 2 minutes. Bulldogs trying to preserve the lead. Santangelo hits the tough leaner. Fromm hit a tough leaner in the same position. They're not just a perimeter shooting team.
Richie Fromm had 31 against Louisville. Doesn't score in the first half, but gets 10 big points in the second half when they all count.
And that was by Santangelo, and Gonzaga moves on to the Sweet 16 once again. 82-76, knocking out the Big East champs. The last time St. John's won the Big East tournament, went into the NCAA tournament. They struggled in the first round, and they got knocked out in the second round. But this is certainly no offensive basketball back a lot of years. A lot of misses there. There's one of them by Brian Cardinal, but he taps the ball loose, goes strong, and gets fouled. 3-point play. Purdue would have the lead. Eduardo Nahara, the all-Big 12 forward, gets the leaner to go. Nahara and Cardinal, a terrific matchup in this game. Second half, Jerron Cornell, he was the hero down the stretch in that first round win over Dayton. Also hit some big threes in the second half here. Quick 8-zip run for Purdue. Nahara, the miss, but the tap in by Nolan Johnson. Game tied here. Carson Cunningham, the great feed to Greg McQuay. And then another tie game. McQuay can't handle it underneath. Cornell watches Cardinal, makes the big tip. Cornell misses, but he gets fouled. Cardinal, the loose ball hero right there.
Yeah, he's a warrior. He's a guy that keeps everything active. He made that play. Cornell had 13 points down the stretch.
Mike Robinson, the big defensive play right there. Eduardo Nahara fouls out. I'm telling you, this game was just hideous to watch from an offensive standpoint. Both teams playing terrific defense. If you didn't follow the Big 12, you may not realize how close Iowa State came to going 19-0 in that conference. A double overtime loss in Norman, an overtime loss at Colorado, where they had a half-court shot, the Buffaloes did, to force overtime. Remember, Iowa State had to make a big push in the second half of their first game against Central Connecticut. Auburn, in their opening game, faded in the second half against Creighton and had to barely hang on. Keep that in mind. The Tigers, of course, with that short bench tonight. Eustachy looking to advance. Never been to the Sweet 16. And Marcus Fizer, one of the Player of the Year candidates, got off to a very slow offensive start. Mamadou Ndiaye with the block right there. Later, Auburn. Nice job double-teaming him, guys.
Great job. He goes 0 for 6 in the first half, does struggle, doesn't get any points from the field.
This was a tie game when Damian Fishback knocked down the triple to give the Tigers the lead early second half. But that second half push by the Cyclones, they began to play better defense, and Jamal Tinsley started knocking down the perimeter shots. Hit back-to-back threes. Very big stretch when the game was tied.
Hit the threes from outside. You start to go to the inside tack, and it's time for Fizer to turn it on.
Yeah, Fizer would take over. They eventually wore down the Auburn defense, the strength. When he gets the ball down there, forget about it.
Yeah, he's so tough on the inside. He's like a Karl Malone delivering a meal, baby. There he goes. Marcus Fizer, Fizer, Fizer.
16 second half points. That was the difference. Fizer just beat him up inside.
Stevie Johnson, unheralded player, chipping in 21 as Iowa State continues to pound opponents and wear them down in the second half. Eustachy very unhappy. Talked about this, Digger. You tabbed them as a dangerous sleeper team if they could get going here. There's Steve Blake makes the steal. He'll get it back. And the rejection, UCLA all over the place, jumping on the Terrapins early.
Well, I took him to the woodshed and gave him a real spanking, no doubt about it. It was blowout city. Watson was sensational. He played like the Magic Man. He did it all. Had 12 assists, no turnovers in the first half. Hey, it was a fast break drill. It was layup after layup, blowout city.
He had 12 assists, Earl Watson, in the first half, and no turnovers. turnovers. No wonder UCLA shot a great percentage. A lot of very high percentage shots.
He was out in the second half, and he hits 2 threes to start the next barrage when they went on the run.
I mean, there is very few teams in the country with as many offensive options as UCLA. They are scary.
Well, they are really scary when they're playing well, and they played super here. And you got to credit to Steve Lavin. They were 13-11 at one time. They were a club that lost 6 out of 7. It looked like NIT, but they survived, get in the NCAA tournament, and they could pull. You ready for this, Chris? They could be 1988 deja vu. Kansas when they were 12-8 and won the national title.
The Wildcats coming in with the longest active streak of consecutive Sweet 16s. 5. No other program had more than 2. Syracuse, you know, the team that started out 19-0, very experienced team, but not a very steady team down the stretch, just 5-5. So trying to establish something against Kentucky. Of course, the team that knocked them off in the national championship game 4 years ago. Etan Thomas was out of the ball game late. He fouled out. Kentucky pounded it inside. Jules Kamara for the follow slam. Syracuse would answer with Blackwell hitting the runner. They go back up by 2, but the next time down, Bogans penetrates without Thomas in there. Kamara there for the follow to tie the game at 50. Could the Cuse hang on without their shot blocker? Thomas inside. Under a minute to go, tied at 50. 2 players who started very slowly. Jason Hart and Preston Shumpert hook up right there, right in front of the Cuse bench. That's the biggest shot of the game. Tubby Smith, one more chance to draw something up here. After a Syracuse foul, 5.9 to go. Bogans, the wild shot doesn't go. Tayshaun Prince, the desperation follow, rims out. And Syracuse holds on to beat Kentucky 52-50. Shumpert, the only player in double figures for Syracuse, and he was a cold shooter on the afternoon, but Syracuse gets just enough by committee, despite the fact that I just don't think Jason Hart, their senior point guard, really took control till very late. Made some big plays late.
Well, he made the big plays late, and that's what the game is about. It's about surviving and making big plays. He made a great defensive play. He created the opportunity for Shumpert. Shumpert's been their leading scorer, and their 2-3 zone really created havoc for Kentucky. It held them to 31% shooting.
Puts in the paint counter for Syracuse.
And you can see the line there. The coach's son, Saul Smith, 1 for 6. 6 turnovers, 2 assists. Utah battling top seed Michigan State earlier in Cleveland, and Majerus, he's beaten the last 2 #1 seeds that he'd faced. Second half, you can see that Mateen Cleaves, who's got an improved outside shot, really began to heat up. His leadership was huge today.
Well, his leadership, and the guy has really learned how to make the perimeter shot. I love him. I love the enthusiasm. I love his leadership, his toughness. He was the difference in the second half. 21 points, took charge, took command of the game.
But you can see that Tony Harvey with the lay-in there as they blocked the Cleaves shot, ties the game at 45. A.J. Granger. Offense from the top of the key. The Spartans went on a 16-4 run. Their defense just strangling Utah. Utah really had to work for every good shot. Once again, Cleaves knocking down huge shots.
Well, you know, Rick Majerus got maximum out of that club. Only 7 scholarship players, a lot of guys hurt. But it was Cleaves, it was Peterson, it was Hudson. I mean, they just are a dominant basketball team.
61% shooting in the second half as they
Salt Lake. Second half, Badgers up 9, and Andy Kowski, Happy Kowski's give more milk. He had 10 points, Badgers by 11. Wisconsin now up a dozen. John Bryant, 3 of 7 from deep. He had 12 points, Badgers up 15. And now to seal the upset, Jason Gardner, no, stripped by Mike Kelly. Going to Dewaney, 2 names, 2 points. That's nice. Number 8 seed Wisconsin outs number 1 Arizona, 66-59. Badgers a 1-4 start in the Big Ten.
Texas, second half tied at 47. Collis Temple at the line, shooting the second free throw, misses, but Stromile Swift gets the rebound and the slam. Rick Barnes worried, with good reason. Later, Texas down 2. Darren Kelly passes inside to Chris Mim, who goes up for the shot, but is rejected by Swift. LSU loving that. He finished with 23 points, 10 boards. Tigers won 72-67 to reach the Sweet 16 for the first time since 1987. They've won 12 of their last 13 and are now 28-5.